Hey everybody, I'd like to introduce you to author Shantel Sellers, who I'm working with for a few projects, and this project that we're about to talk about now is it's a women's choir / treble choir commission, consortium commission, and it's based on the story of the Radium Girls.
So the Radium Girls were mostly young single women who went to work in factories in the 1920s and 1930s. Someone had come up with the great idea of adding radium to paint because you could then use it to make the most wonderful dials that could be seen in the dark. So they painted a lot of clocks, and they also painted a lot of military equipment. The girls were encouraged to keep a nice sharp tip on their paintbrushes by just tapping that brush periodically on their lip. And in that way, they ingested a good amount of radium. Now, the girls were told it was perfectly safe. So some of them actually painted their nails, or they would put it on their faces and go home that way because they thought it was really fun and funny. But little did they know that while the owners of the company kept telling them that this was perfectly safe to work with, they themselves were wearing lead vests and handling the radium with tongs and gloves. So that was pretty unfair.
Yeah, and this has actually been made into a couple of books that have told the story of the Radium Girls. Actually, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, it might have actually been made into a movie as well. I'm not completely sure about that. But we just feel it's an important story to be told because it speaks to, first of all, giving these women a voice. Yeah. I know that their families have wanted to correct the record as to how they died.
Oh my gosh, yes, because this was another part of it. When the girls began to get sick from the radium, they had issues with, sores on their faces and places that came in contact with them. Yeah. But also radium will migrate to your bones. And so they began to have other problems with their musculoskeletal system. And it was pretty common practice for the doctors who were paid for by the companies that ran the places. They would just put out there that the girls had some type of venereal disease. And being young single women, there is a degree of sexism with that as well. But at that time, it was scandalous, and it was victim blaming at its finest.
Awful.
Yeah,
Awful.
It really was. Eventually, they successfully took the company owners to court over this. And one of the ways that they proved that the radium really was dangerous and that it had accumulated in their bodies to a strong enough degree to make them sick is they actually exhumed the body of one of the victims, and when they opened her casket, she was glowing.
Wow.
Yeah.
So it's a story it's a very tragic story, and we feel that it's an important story to be told. It touches on workers' rights, it touches on women's rights, anyway, so that's why we're doing this consortium. Is there anything else that you want to add to that?
Just that I find the story inspiring as well, because in a time when people were sick and they really were the David coming up against the Goliath, they really had a lot of courage to do what they did and to step forth into the public eye in a place where they were being blamed for their own illness in the most scandalous way, and they still stuck to their guns and they took it on, and it was because of their effort that so many improvements were made to worker safety in that period of the industrial era, and it carries over to today. So yeah. Big impact.
So look for this consortium. It's going to be announced actually at the ACDA Eastern Division Conference in Pittsburgh on March 7th. Thanks for watching.
Thanks.